The DAZN X Series 001 was a raving success, in no part to these two gentlemen that are joining me now, Kalle Sauerland from DAZN Boxing and Mams Taylor from Misfit Boxing. Gents, before we talk about 002 and 003, let's go back to 001 if we can. Kalle, look, you've been in boxing for years, right? Yourself and your brother Nisa have put on fantastic cards. Your dad before that, some huge cards. Was you even surprised as to how perfect it all was, 001?
You know, Addy, my adrenaline is still going 2 weeks later, yeah? I mean, I've seen some crazy events all over the world, you know, from promoting in the World Boxing Super Series in Russia with a Ukrainian against a Russian in the final, Klitschko Hay massive beef match, Groves Eubank. I'm just thinking about sort of crazy events, and obviously we've got Eubank Ben coming up, but this was just totally different. And full credit to Mams, because I've got to admit, before the press conference, I was really researching names. Obviously, totally new turf for me, going into a presser and not really knowing what I'm going to say. And at the end, with these guys, it's just so fantastic to work. You can see why they're so successful at what they do. And hey, you know what? We got some great action, actually real boxing action on the night as well. And sold out house in the O2. What a way to launch Misfits. Mams absolutely smashed the card from top to bottom. KSI, at his own request, 2 opponents one night. I mean, you just can't make it up. So how did I enjoy it? Well, I'm still enjoying it now. I'm actually going back and still looking at clips of it. Did I miss this? Did I miss that? And not a person, not one of the 20,000 people in there left the arena not happy. They all had a smile on their face. The reaction's been huge. That's why I was so excited with 002 and 003. This MFX series is so exciting, and hey, we're getting amped for more and more.
Mams, it was perfect, isn't it? I mean, Kalle kind of summed it up there perfectly, but everything went well. The press conference was great. The numbers across all the streams were amazing. Individual numbers as well from the fighters and their streams, which always helps when it comes to the pay-per-view. But what I was impressed with the most, I've been lucky enough to cover a lot of boxing events, and Kalle would tell you, normally the doors open and people kind of trickle in. That's kind of how it is. You get to the co-main event,
absolutely,
and that will be full. And then the main event, you're going to get obviously a packed arena. Obviously, KSI was fighting first, but regardless, it was packed from 6 o'clock. Like the queue went from the arena to the station, which is just mental when you think about it.
Yeah, I think the key was the undercard was really, really strong. All of these guys have a big fan base, and they're all really excited about it. So it's converting well with their fans. Their fans want to see them box and want to see their transition from normal life and being an influencer into becoming a boxer. Some of these guys are a crossover boxer, and some of these guys have actually pretty much become one-track minded, like Gibb. That's what he does all day long now. He just trains. KSI spends so much time with the boxing, so it's definitely something they're all taking very seriously, training hard, and hopefully we can carry on putting great shows. But it's KSI being at the beginning of the card. Definitely people didn't want to miss that. But to Kalle's point, the only thing I think is that this was our first show, and there's still so much room for improvement. And that's my mentality. As soon as it's finished, I can't celebrate it yet. I'll look back and I'll be like, great, but I'll be like, what can we do to improve? And there's certainly a few things, but I think we're very happy with the first show for sure.
A few
and
stars.
I thought also the under, if you look at it, we call it the undercard, and that's a let's say classic boxing term. But really, especially like Mams was going through with me and Nissa the other day, we were going through, the 002 event and the 003 event. And man, I was just like, already starting to know some of these names. And I'm like, man, this is a masterpiece. You're just painting another Mona Lisa here, man. And you know what? The difference for me having been at, I don't know, thousands of normal boxing nights, was that after the press conference, even after the press training, I got gripped by the stories of each and every fight, because they were characters. Not necessarily the greatest athletes, some of them, you know, some were very, very, very good athletes. But it was the storylines that built during the week so normally. And it was, I didn't feel like anything was an undercard. Of course, you know, KSI, the big headliner, but it also felt that so much of that card brought something to it. And once again, you know, Mams, like a good sommelier in a wine restaurant, he picked the finest wines. It was amazing to watch in action, really was.
I mean, look.
The finest wines as well. Sorry, Mams, you've picked the finest wines for this October the 15th card as well. You know, I was looking at the card, and for me, the two big standout names that jumped out at me immediately, one was Swarms. I was like, okay, Swarms is doing this again. He wants to take this seriously, and I love that. And Slim being on the card as well, because I thought Slim last time out against FaZe Temple was just incredible. Like at the press conference, he stole the show. So to have those guys on the, as you call it, undercard, again, it shows how good the next one's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Co-main event will be Slim versus Ryan Taylor, and I think that everybody knows they have a real grudge match here. They really don't like each other, and I've gotten them to agree to not push it too far. You know
what? What are you doing? Why?
No, last time it was bad. They both got banned from the Intercontinental Hotel, so it could have gotten a lot worse. So. But yeah, there's a natural beef there. They really don't like each other, and come 002, they get to settle that in the co-main event. So that's going to be very exciting. And then Swarms, I can't credit this guy enough. He's really, really dived in now, taking his training seriously, and he's enjoying the online success, his music. He's very clever about how he's marketing himself now. And I think this is such a great part of what we do. It platforms people and brings a buzz back. If there's a buzz missing, you get to create one by putting the gloves on and going in there, you know?
I guess it's both of your jobs now to make this, try and be as big without KSI and Deji, right? Because if we're honest, I mean, the first one, a lot of it was because of KSI's return and Deji wanting to win, right? Deji versus Fuzi. To do it without those two, I guess will show the true success of this, won't it?
100%, and that's one of the goals from KSI, myself, Kalle, and I think with DAZN as well. This is something that we plan on running for years to come, because there is a demand for it, and as long as there's a demand, we want to supply the fans with what they want and what they deserve, some real action. And I think for KSI, after he gets his hands on Jake, and whatever happens there, you know, he can sort of take a seat back and just chill and promote the events, because he's very passionate about boxing as well, but he's also passionate about giving platforms to smaller creators. And essentially, I think Slim was a star born that night, and Salt Pappy as well, and Dean the Great. I think they're making a name for themselves and generating an interest to see those guys fight without KSI or Deji being, or Logan or some of the bigger names being on those cards. So you're right.
Yeah, I think Salt Pappy actually stole the show. I thought he was fantastic, and I almost feel like he was almost a bit of a cheat code. He looked like he had really good hands, like he's been boxing for years. When I saw him, I was on stage with Chris Eubank, and Chris Eubank doesn't really give anyone much plaudits. And even he was like, 1 second. He's got the Andy Ruiz-like body, but he's also got the Andy Ruiz-like hands as well. So I thought Salt Pappy was incredible, and I can't wait to see him on another card in the future as well. On the day, obviously, I did interview Hasim Rahman. It looked like he was going to be the headline act for this 002. He's been moved to 003 against Vitor Belfort in America, November 19th. To you, Kalle, or to you, Mams, what was the decision behind that to move?
It was a natural fit. It was, you know, I mean, look, we saw suddenly how big the 002 card in Sheffield is going to be, and it was just too much. And Mams kept on coming up with them. And by the way, the Taylor versus Slim fight, the kickoff to my first ever crossover week was, I picked up Mams in the limo and we went up to the training, and up to the hotel, sorry, on the Monday. And we're in the back of the car talking, and I hear Mams on the phone, and he's going, yeah, and don't worry, bro, the room will be ready in a minute and it will be cool. And I'm thinking, okay, it's someone who's arrived early from the States and it's not an issue, and, you know, everything else. I then found out, which I think Mams was trying to cushion me to the week, was that Slim had been banned from the hotel because of the beef he'd had with Taylor. So that
they got in a brawl.
Our week started with convincing the Intercontinental Hotel in London to let him into the team hotel, which he'd been banned for having a fight with the guy he's now fighting in Sheffield. So the storylines, they're real. So yeah, it was just a natural for us, and you know, Austin, Texas, where the third event will be, is also. It's a UFC mecca place, and you know, to have a guy like Vitor Belfort on there against a legend, the son of a legend, Hasim Rahman, is a more than fitting location. So we thought it was a natural switch.
Some people have said, Mams, like, obviously this is Misfits Boxing, right? That's what it's called. You got the YouTubers that are taking up boxing, and so far so good. Hasim Rahman's a legit boxer. He's a legit boxer, a heavyweight, only lost just the once. It will be Hasim Rahman versus this type of opponent, won't it, going forward, in terms of former fighters, as opposed to maybe Hasim Rahman versus a YouTuber, or is anything open here?
Misfits is about crossover boxing. You'll have an MMA guy against a boxer against a basketball player, or an actor or a YouTuber. As long as we always want it to be safe and you know, good matchmaking. Where there's going to be action, but always conscious of not making mismatches. You never know what's going to happen in there, but safety is always our priority. We also don't want to, and have no intention of, encroaching on purist boxing and classical boxing. We respect it, and we're inspired and influenced by that. So for all the people that I see on the comments on DAZN sometimes, like poo-pooing what we're doing, we're not doing anything bad. We're not trying to take over the boxing world. We're creating our own space and hopefully influencing and inspiring youngsters to take up boxing, and basically, you know, do things that are positive. Boxing has been very positive for me in my teens. When I started it, it got me out of trouble, it got me disciplined, got my body in shape and physically feeling good and mentally feeling good. And if kids are inspired to do that, I think we're doing a good thing. And there's going to be a crossover of kids who are like, all right, I subscribe to DAZN now. Let me watch this other pro boxing bout where they would have not done that regularly. So I think it's a good thing overall. I don't see any negatives there, you know?
I agree with that. Yeah. A lot of people watching the program last time out might not have even heard of GGG Canelo. I know that sounds crazy, but they might not. They know about GGG Canelo. They know about what we've got coming up with Eubank and Ben. So I agree, it works perfectly. Just before you guys go, Kalle, this is for you specifically. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk recently about Eubank, and his father said, you know what, maybe you're not doing this one. Keep us confident this fight does go ahead. What's the latest with Eubank and Ben?
Yeah, I've got a day. I've just come off a day of doing a round of media calls on this. It's very simple. The fight is on. The fight was never off, and we have a contract with Chris Eubank Jr. Now, Senior is obviously the father and one of my sporting heroes, an absolute legend of the sport, and someone who I've worked with very closely, you know, around a lot of things. But at the same time, we don't know in what backdrop these comments were made. Yeah. It was on the launch of a speaking tour with him and Nigel Benn. You know, these days one comment gets out and it's turned around very quickly. Now that can become into a story, and I don't know if people start jumping on that story and whether that blows up. But ultimately, you know, Junior's knocking out sparring partners left, right, and centre. In fact, I'm having my biggest trouble right now is finding sparring partners. So we're shipping him in from abroad. He was in training yesterday, sparring yesterday. Sorry. Spoke to him last night. We didn't actually speak because of what had come out. but it was addressed in the conversation, and you know, it was quite simple. There ain't no pulling out here, and that's that, you know. And but that's, you know, something between father and son, whether how the corner's going to work, not work, who's going to take the corner, etc. But that's not my area. I'm there to run the show. We have a contract with Chris Eubank Jr. And I would add, in those contract negotiations, we reached the settlement on weight very early. So a lot of people said, "Oh, it was such a long negotiation." And anyway, it was one of the longer ones that I've been through. But the weight part was at the early part of the conversations, and it was the first thing that we wanted to address, and that everyone felt comfortable around it. And that's ultimately what people signed up to. So that's, you know, that's what it is. That's what it was, and that's what it is as we speak right now.
Fantastic stuff. Fight fans will breathe a sigh of relief. October is looking really, really good right now for DAZN. October the 8th, we've got Eubank versus Ben. October the 15th, we've got the second.
Yeah. And I was just about to say, when we take care of Conor Ben business, we're going to see who we fight this weekend, because we'll be getting the winner of this fight this weekend, Triple G versus Canelo. So make sure you're tuning in to see who Chris Eubank is fighting next after we've taken care of Conor Ben business.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I wish I had Conor here to rebuttal that fight. Kalle, thank you very much. Mams, thank you very, very much as well.
Thank you for having us.
Can't wait for X Series 2. It's going to be fantastic in Sheffield. Remember, it's headlined by Jay Swindler versus Churdleys. As you heard it on the undercard as well, Slim versus Ryan Taylor. Swarms is back as well. This is what we're doing.
And to cut you in there, our first ever Misfit female fight. Watch this space.
Two female fights.
Two female fights?
I'm a big fan of one of them. So watch this space. It's very exciting. Absolute classic what Mams has put together here.
There you go. Mams doing stuff again. Mams, there's going to be pressure on you for all of these now. 004, they're going to want crazy for 004, 005. I'm guessing 006, KSI could be back. I'm just putting it out there, maybe. I don't know.
I'll be 004.
004, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Guys, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Kalle, appreciate you coming on. I know you've had to put a lot of fires out today, so thank you so much for coming on. And Mams, don't you ever try and outdo my chair thing again.